One take one. We're back. It's the first one back in Sweden. Um, it's been a bit of a, well, first of all, it's incredible weather. I can't believe it. We come back here and Sweden's going through a heat wave of sorts. That's number one. Number two, maybe this will help. I don't know. I hope so. I tested it out. It seemed to sound okay on at least on my devices. So if the sound is still a problem, then let me know. And then third of all, I thought I'd just do a little wrap up of some of the wines I've tasted since coming back, back to reality. So what do we got in the glass today? Might as well start with the one I'm drinking, and I think we take it down a notch now. Although a lovely wine. So today was a release at Systembolaget, and I didn't pick up any of the. Well, I did, but that'll have to be another time because I'm not drinking it today. But I was just like poking around a little bit because I knew there wasn't anything super duper today. So, but there had been a bottle that I had my eye on before I left for Paris, and it was this. It was the J.M. Boillot Macon Chardonnay, 2021. And the reason I had my eye on it was because I'm going to read from my notes from 2020. I really liked this last year, the Macon Village J.M. Boillot 2020. When you first smell this, you think you're going to get way more than bargained and paid for. Clever turn of phrase. Soft linen floral, lightly, elegantly fruited, orange blossoms. Doesn't have the mid palate to be serious, but seductive and crunchy at the same time, and surprising length for its class. A steal. 93 I gave it 93 points. And I remember that because I remember being super impressed with it, and then that lingered into this vintage. This is not 93, but it's still a steal at the price. These are just not that expensive in today's wine world, and it's clean, it's soft, it's very floral. It has almost a little bit of reduction. It's punching way above its weight. I like it. Again, no mid palate, no finish on this one. I think I had a bit more finish last year. But when you first get a mouthful of this, you think, "Oh, I'm in a great place here. I'm gonna be having some fun. I'm gonna be having some proper Chardonnay," and then it kind of like dissipates. But just the impression it makes on the entry is worth the price of admission. It just is, in my opinion. I think this is a great wine to have at a holiday like a Thanksgiving or something like that, where you're gonna have a lot of people around the table. You don't want to spend a ton of money. You want that taste of good, proper Chardonnay from Bourgogne, white, and you'll get those pear, a little bit of pear, and you'll get some linen-y kind of quality in the mouthfeel. Just a hint of that, unfortunately, in this particular version in 2021. But it was like in 2020, it was a little bit more like that. I don't know. I like this very much. So I can talk a little bit about some of the other wines that I had over the last couple of days. Just very quickly, we had a Meursault-Charmes 2013 from Michel Bouzereau. And I must say, I went back over my notes because I was a little bit disturbed by this. Why is it that I never have a positive experience with a Meursault-Charmes? It makes no sense to me. Geneviève, I love, and I often give very high points to Geneviève and to Perrier, even to Village Meursault. I get impressed by, and Charme, I'm almost always let down. And maybe it's just I haven't had enough examples. I haven't had examples by the right people. Apparently, though, Bouzereau is supposed to make a decent Charme. Like it's one of his top cuvées. The Perrier is, and then the Puligny Monachek Cailleret. But the Chalon is supposed to be right up there as well. Um, this was it was too severe. It was overly unfriendly, and it just felt like it was proper. It was correct. So I'm not going to say anything about that. It was a correct wine. It had everything in its place. It had the requisite type of, a little bit of wooded approach, the buttery, a little tiny bit of buttery to it, smoky almond maybe instead of butter. Um, a very light stone fruit type of feel to it. Minerality, yes, but just like with a dark cloud over it. You know what I mean? Like, those cartoons where you see somebody scuttling around and they've got like a cloud chasing them all the whole time under a rain cloud. Feels like that to me. Who knows? Maybe for other people this is the cat's meow. For me, it is not. Um, Disappointing a little because I like this producer a lot. I am going to search out some other vintages. Maybe not a lot more chances with Meursault-Charmes. If anybody has a tip on a producer for a Meursault-Charmes, I'm all ears. Okay. Yesterday I made a pot of chicken with morels, dried morels, and cream. Lots of cream. Creme fraiche, actually. So that called for either a vin jaune or a Sauvignon. I went vin jaune because Henri Maire is not my favorite producer of vin jaune, and I had a bottle of this. I knew I was going to cook with it. Not my favorite producer. I don't even know why I say that. It is good. I mean, I used maybe 2/3 of this bottle in the dish, and then I drank the other third because, of course, what am I going to do, right? I have to taste it. And it was a very, it's rounding into form. I mean, it's got many miles to go. It's only 2007, so even though that sounds fairly old in Chateau Chalon terms, vin jaune terms, it's not. And I was actually I was a bit more impressed this time than I usually am with this producer. The food was sublime. So, I mean, if for nothing else, to make a very expensive chicken cream dish. And then I opened almost immediately when I got back because I just needed something. I was feeling very discombobulated, very, I don't know, like out of sorts a bit. And so I bought this at auction some time ago, 97, Chateau, L'Église Clinet, Pomerol. And this just, I kind of wish I'd had more people around to share this with, because this was just singing. It was a glorious homage to Pomerol with some age. Fantastic wine, pruny, but still lively and vivacious and very sexy. Some mushroom, some of the morels. Maybe that's what inspired me to make the chicken morels, actually. Who knows? These things linger, and then next thing you know, you're on a tangent down some rabbit hole. I went down a chicken rabbit hole. Yeah. This was performing about as well as I would expect any 1997 Bordeaux to be performing right now. And I'm going to say the only other 97 that I've had that struck me, and I have had Chateau Margaux, I think I've had the 5th even. Anyway, doesn't matter. Léoville Lescasse, the 97 was fantastic. I remember that because after some years, actually one of the wine things up in Stockholm, they were serving it from the booth, from the importer of Léoville Lescasse, and that was the one that they had kind of under the desk, and they were pouring it. Yeah, okay. It was like everybody knew it was no secret. Just go to the desk and get the 97 because it's fantastic, and you could buy it for relatively no money, I would say, from Systembolaget, from our government-run liquor agency. And nowadays, a little bit different, I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, but I still think it's probably pretty reasonable. Nobody wants 97s. L'Église Clinet, if should you stumble across this at auction, is a definite buy. I mean, if the ball's in good shape, this was. It was almost, I mean, it was into the neck. I think you can even see the little bit of, so it was stored properly on its side, obviously. I mean, it doesn't tell you everything, but it's a good sign. And this just exploded with this prune and then this black fruit and then all of these kind of mushroomy flavors and you know I felt very 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 much in Bordeaux, aged Bordeaux. You know, a little bit of the creaking rusty iron gate thing happening in the background, and definitely not going to get any better, but it should stay at this level for another 5. I would imagine. I mean, if you get a bottle in this kind of shape, the reason the label's so good on a lot of these bottles is because when I buy them at auction, they're often wrapped in plastic, and I take the plastic off, obviously, when I'm drinking because I don't like the plastic. I think it's ugly. All right, that's about all I've got for this time. It was a bit of a brief catch-up. Appreciate you watching. Thanks, and see you next time.